Genesis chapter 6, verse 17 by John Gill. The exposition of the entire Bible, verse by verse, being read by Dr. Peter John Parisis. Genesis 6, verse 17. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth. That there was such a flood of waters brought upon the earth is confirmed by the testimonies of heathen writers of all nations. Only instead of Noah they put some person of great antiquity in their nation, as the Chaldeans, the Grecians, the Romans, etc. Josephus says all the writers of the barbarians and heathen histories make mention of the flood or the ark, and he produces the authorities of Parisis the Chaldean, an Egyptian, and a physician in antiquity, and many others. They make mention of Milo, who wrote against the Jews, yet speaks of the deluge at which a man and his sons escaped. Abydenus, that's Abydenus, the Assyrian, whose account agrees with this of Moses that follows of many things, as do also that of Lucian and Ovid, who having wrote concerning it, excepting in the names of the person in whose time it was, and only the Egyptians had knowledge of the universal deluge, as appears from the testimony of Plato, who says that an Egyptian priest related to Solon, that's Solon, out of their sacred books the history of it, and from various circumstances in the story of Parisis and Typhoon, which name they give to the seas, and in the Chaldean language signifies the deluge. And here the Targum of Onkelos, that's Onkelos, Onkelos, renders the word by Tuphana, and the Arabs to this day call the flood Al-Tufam. But the Chinese also frequently speak of the deluge, and even it is said the Americans of Mexico and Peru had a tradition of it. And the Brahmins, that's Bramines also, who says that 21,000 years ago the sea overwhelmed and drowned the whole earth, excepting one great hill far to the north, called Biudd, and that there fled thither one woman and 7 men, whose name they give. See Genesis chapter 7, verse 13. Those understanding out of their books that such a flood would come, and was then actually coming, prepared against the same, and repaired thither, to which place also went 2 of all sorts of creatures. Genesis 6:19. Herbs, trees, and grass, and everything that had life, to the number in all of 1,800,000 living souls. This flood, they say, lasted 120 years. See Genesis 6:3. 5 months and 5 days, after which time all the creatures that were thus preserved descended down again and replenished the whole earth. But as far for the 7 men and women, only one of them came down with her and dwelt at the foot of the mountain. And this flood was not typical or national only, but general and universal. It was brought upon the whole earth, as the following account shows, by the Lord himself. It was not through second causes or the common course of things, and to show it possible and certain this form of expression is used. Behold, I, even I, do bring. It was wonderful beyond the power of nature, and therefore a, quote, behold, unquote, is prefixed. It was possible because the Almighty God declares he would bring it, and it was certain, which the redoubling of the word points at, and would be quickly, since he said, I am bringing, or do bring, just about to do it. Wherefore the ark was not so long preparing as some have thought, and the command to build it was not long before the flood came. The word of the flood comes from one which signifies to fall, either because the fall of the waters at it, or because it made all things to fall, wither, and decay, as herbs, plants, men, beasts, and all creatures, or from one that signifies to consume, or to mix and confound and bring all things to confusion, as Jarkey suggests. And the end and the intention of it, as here expressed, was to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, every living creature, men and women, the beasts, the cattle of the earth, and every creeping thing on it, and the fowls of the heaven, man principally, and these for his sake. And everything that is in the earth shall die, but not what was in the waters, the fishes of the sea, which could live in the flood.